Andy, hello and welcome to Rectoks with Kylo. It's a pleasure to have a real live client of Kylo's on
Very
so
much
soon
so, yeah.
after what we've been through.
Yeah,
So welcome.
thank you for having me.
That's no problem at all. As I tend to like to start, I like to put it in sort of context. I'd love to know how you became the MD of a recruitment company, having started in the council. Would you be able to take me through that journey?
Yeah, well, it probably stems from what our agency focuses on, actually. So we're an agency that focuses on the not-for-profit sector, largely charities, but a bit of public sector, higher education. And I always wanted to work for a charity. And in order to work in a charity back then, maybe a little bit still the case, you actually had to do an unpaid internship.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a possibility for me. Turns out to actually travel in, eat and live in London is wildly expensive.
Yeah.
So after getting it away a few times, I saw a job for Prospectus, a maternity cover, and I didn't actually know what a recruitment agency was, to be honest.
Okay.
So I ended up starting a role there, doing a 12-month admin contract.
Mhm.
And then sort of through a bit of, I'm sure, more luck than hard work with these things, I sort of managed to take on a few different roles, different positions, and was lucky enough to be part of a management buyout a few years ago, just before the pandemic. And I think what's kept me there is I absolutely love the business and love the values, and we try to continue those. Particularly, we're slightly different to, and we're a non-commission agency, which
Okay.
we still charge our clients for the
Yes.
service. But actually, the whole team works on a non-commission salary basis, so a bit unusual for sales and
Yeah.
recruitment. But it brings us, I think, a certain type of person, and it just makes it a really fun, lovely place to work. Really, so lucky enough to have stayed there for so long, and yeah, really enjoy it.
Wow, there's lots of things to unpack there. Lots of things to unpack there. Can I start with a sort of an easy question? And the easy question is, you were quite early on in writing blogs about technology. And I just wanted to find out, in your business, and as you have it today, how important is technology to your business and what you do?
I think it's incredibly important. I think it's interesting. You think about, whenever I think we talk about technology at Perspectives, we don't always use the word that often, and I think it's very interchangeable with stuff like data, data, information, and knowledge. And actually, I think technology, the platforms that allow you to, I think, connect all those different elements, and I think hopefully make your organization more successful.
And I know that we've taken you on a journey from something you'd had for a very long time through to potentially leading edge or very close to leading edge. Can you maybe just outline the journey you've been on, and more importantly, why you started it and the benefits that you see from it?
Yeah, definitely. So I think where we were is we were very lucky. We have someone very competent in-house developer, and we had a recruitment CRM, which I won't name, seems
Yes.
unfair. And our developer had enabled us to take, I'd say, a fairly outdated system. I spent a lot of time bolting stuff around to make people's lives easier. I think we got to the point where I think the world had moved to a particular stage where you see a lot of stuff. That looks quite interesting. How can I plug that into my database? So how could that make our life easy? And you realize, actually, unless you are an absolute tech wizard, which this person is, it's really difficult to do that. And actually, you have these systems now that an API key, which I don't truly understand, but you're connecting up two bits and it allows your system to work with a little bit of tinkering in between. So I think we were sat there looking at what was happening in not just recruitment, but the world as a whole, and seeing systems and technology, and realizing that actually we needed to explore a bit more of what was out there. One of the other driving factors too is, again, it comes a little bit back to the non-commission piece.
Yeah.
Is that our business, we not only have headhunting, we have temporary staffing, we have contingent recruitment, we also have a recruitment advertising team. And our recruitment advertising team was actually completely separate database, separate CRM built by this developer. And actually, one of the great value that we find being a non-commission organization is we should collaborate, sharing clients, contacts. And actually, if we're operating in different ecosystems, that's really hard to do.
Got it.
So we wanted to invest in a system that would allow us to connect and nudge those connections as well.
Mm.
So that was probably where we were and where we wanted to get to. And we spent a fair bit of time looking at different systems too.
Okay.
We arrived at Bullhorn because a couple of things. I think the scale of it is huge, and actually I think as a small part of a massive ecosystem, you benefit, I think, from a lot of the development that happens, and the ability for us to leverage some of the systems like automation and analytics. We've been really good actually. Michaela was fantastic for us actually taking us through the automation, and also realizing that on day one we'd all been like really excited to do the automation stuff. That was what it was all leading up to.
Okay.
Even the CRM was sort of fun, but then she was quite good about being very flexible with it. So we'd already started making automations,
Okay.
and so she was very bespoke in how she then tried to gently let us become more ambitious with a nice safety net, so we didn't end up sort of deleting all of our contacts or something like that. So the automation is really exciting. So that's where we wanted to get to, and what the things that we
Okay.
wanted to leverage, and the investing in a new CRM. And we really do see it as an investment, is an important part, I think, about unlocking more of the potential in that organization. Also thinking about stuff around connection with finance systems, marketing systems, allowing us to unlock a little bit more. And also, it sounds funny too, but actually people were quite excited to see something else.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of grumbles about the old system, and actually
Okay.
there is still, even if people have to adjust to a new way of working, it is quite nice where you've got something a little bit new and shiny. It's always nice.
Yeah. A new, shiny, and does things for you in a way that maybe didn't happen before.
Yeah, exactly. You can already see it too with if someone wants something to be changed and it's a reasonable request, it can be done very quickly. So rather than it
Yes.
being a fairly laborious process, even just changing view layouts, getting the information that's important for you. That's one of the things I really like about the system too, is actually on your header records of candidates, clients, companies,
Mm.
etc. Each organization will have stuff that's more important to them. You can actually free that stuff up quite quickly. And again, with good training, you're able to actually again unlock that stuff quite quickly.
Yeah. So I ask everyone that we do one of these things. So what was it like going through the project? And are there any tips that now, as you sort of look backwards on, is there anything you would advise to people and say, hey, make sure you do this, or don't do that, or we've learned from something else?
I think first of all, listen to the people that you're engaging with in the project, 'cause it's a long-term partnership too, right? So we've worked with sort of Matt was the person who initially introduced us, I think, to the product, or sorry, to Kylo rather.
Yeah.
Again, working really closely with Bullhorn. And I think when you turn up to some of those meetings, you have to be a little bit humble and not presume you know everything, because you don't. And people are giving you advice because it's good advice, not because they're constantly trying to sell you something. I think if you work in sales and recruitment, I think you can usually tell quite quickly if someone's just trying to flog you something for the sake of it. And actually, you need to pick a good partner and trust that partner and listen to what they say. So for me, I think you have to go into this with some trust. I think that's really, really important. And I think you also need to make sure one of the bits of feedback we got, because we were debating about, so do we bring in someone external to help run this project for us?
Yeah.
And the advice we got from Matt was actually look at internally, look in the business,
Yeah.
because actually you need someone that has, I think, the right brain, data brain, digital brain. It wasn't me, by the way, it was my colleague Jenny, who did a brilliant job.
Well done, Jenny.
Yeah, exactly. But she knows the business really well and works
Got it.
across all of it. So, and that was really good advice. So you always think about things you do differently to make life better. One of the things I think was actually good advice and we did well was picking the right person to lead the project and freeing them up as well.
Yeah, that's a good
So I
idea.
think you can underestimate when you get into it just how much, and the response and the times you need to move quickly as well. So I think definitely investing in someone within the business to free them up to make it successful is definitely important. I think that was particularly key. I think once you get into it as well, depending on the scale of what you're doing, you're going to hit bumps in the road.
Yep.
So you don't. I'll argue that our business is maybe a bit different to others, and that we're non-commission. We do everything from trustees for recruitment, advertising, and actually that's quite complex to then shoehorn that into a system that's not really built for everything like that out of the box. So I think the other thing is when you're actually going through the project, is it comes back to the trust piece again. Is if you're finding something's not working, it's to not, and I don't think either of us ever have done, Kylo or Perspective, sat there and blame the other person for it not working. It's just the reality of a complex project.
Yeah, let's work it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important. And finally, just having fun with it too, like good relationships. So I think, yeah, I think that's always fun. You getting into it, really serious and running through stuff. But it's nice to be talking to people like James Davis. I think we talked to him, I don't know, I think every week for about 3 months or
Oh,
something.
at least.
And yeah, exactly. And I think you need to get on with people. James is an easy person to get on with. So yeah, I think you need to have fun and build good relationships too, because otherwise life's quite boring.
Yeah, I think as we enter into projects with different customers, we get asked some similar questions, but sometimes quite different. And one of the points was, how much time do we need to spend on the project? And one of the answers is, well, how well do you want it to go? Because if you have to invest quite a substantial amount of time because you're making a big change, not only to what you look at every day, but all the processes that you've taken as read previously, and making sure that that can flow through requires a substantial amount of time. And really good words, I think you said, and someone with the right type of brain that can join those things together. So I think that's a great call out. And we do become friends with people during a project because you're speaking to them on a very regular basis, or semi-regular basis anyway, and you get to know things about their lives during that period. So we try and match as best we can the team that works on the project with the customer that we've learned about during the pre-sales process. And I think that works well. And there's usually sets of Christmas cards or gifts that get swapped around at the end. And actually, oh, I'm really sorry that I'm going to be missing this project. Good luck. If you need anything, come back. Because one of
Built on
our
a Christmas card, Raymond.
yeah, well, exactly. It'll be on its way. It'll be early. Be one of your early ones. One of the things that we consider we're in it, maybe a bit like you, we're in it because we're looking for a long-term relationship. We're looking for a long-term relationship and to build up the trust so that at a future date, we go, hey, this is what's happening in the market. You should consider it.
Yeah, and I think that comes across as well, particularly when people are doing, I think, big IT projects or working with consultants. I think sometimes there's the fear that any change comes with an invoice, or any tinkering is going to go down on a timesheet somewhere as well. Actually, again, for me, it all comes back to the trust again. Is actually, I feel like if you're making a reasonable request as part of it, it comes back to the bumps in the road and
Just get
stuff.
on with it.
Yeah, exactly. And equally, the ability for, in this instance, Kylo to say, actually, you wanted to go down this path, and if you wanted to, we told you not to. Now this is going to come with, there's a change order here,
Yeah.
which I always had good fun with James around any change orders and stuff like that. And it's all reasonable though, isn't it? And that's the thing. You start off with your budget and where you want to get to. I think you need to put 10 to 15% on top, because you don't know what you don't know, and it's the same on the other side as well. So yeah, that trust and being reasonable is always nice.
Yeah, we try and invest enough time up front to learn, but you can never get into what happens in this special occasion when you've got an extension,
Yeah,
but they've changed from limited company to sole trader, or they've done something else, and you're like, we didn't cover that one. I didn't realize it was quite so important.
we quite like surprising James when we had another data source. That was quite funny. So you
Yeah,
look at
that's
the
always a
scope of work.
surprise.
Yeah, the scope of work. You got two data sources. It turns out you rummage around in the cupboard, there's actually 3 or 4 data sources, which was always quite good fun.
Yeah, I think that's it. So is it doing what you wanted?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we're still, what are we, maybe 3 months in,
Yep.
and there's still specific parts that I think we still need to iron out. But it's working well because we're not having to, I believe, wait a long time to make the changes we need to make it work well.
Got it.
So we've not invested the time or taken the training and knowledge from Kylo to end up with something that we can't sort of
Yes.
mold to what we want it to be. So yeah, I think in that respect it is working really well, because I think that's it. Whenever you move to the new CRM, a new way of working, you just don't know until you start using it. We're nearly
Yeah.
our month end, And actually, we're sat there trying to reconcile our invoices with what's
Okay.
on the system, with the finance system, and each month it gets easier, doesn't it? Because you just
Yeah.
learn as you go. So I think the system is brilliant for that. I think the automation, I'll say it again, is really good. So it's one of those things that, again, provided you have the good concept around logic and data and tech, it can really unleash things for you.
Mm.
It's really, really, really good. Even simple things, closing sales contacts, updating some, I don't know, whatever it might be. A colleague of mine, we've created the world's probably most complicated automated workflow for following up with clients or whatever it might
Okay.
be. I don't know, just
Yeah.
because it sounds a bit weird. You can go down the rabbit hole with it. It's pretty mad. But yeah, I really like it. So really, it's a good, intuitive and flexible system.
And have you had surprising wins or things that you've gone, didn't expect it to quite work like that, either good or bad?
I'd probably say the challenge, one of the challenges that we had was we bolted on an additional third party at the same time.
Okay.
And actually, I feel like we maybe took on a little bit too much there. And I'd argue that that partner hasn't been as helpful as Kylo has been. So I actually think we took on a little bit too much there.
Okay.
So that isn't working as well, but we're having to work through and iron that out. But yeah, just really surprised with the speed of how you can update things
Excellent.
in a manner that suits your business. So we have a team thread called
Yeah.
Bullhorn.
Okay.
And I think on day one, I think there was a question every 10 minutes, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's quite nice when someone says, actually, this might make like this would make life a little bit easier. And you
Smart.
get, yeah, in the world now you get 6 thumbs up on that, and I'll take that
Mm.
as probably it's good for everyone. It's quite nice 10 minutes later to say, cool, done, rather than
Yeah.
it being a really laborious process. And that gets you buy-in as well. So going through this type of process, you need to win the hearts and minds. It's so important,
Yes.
particularly in a remote and hybrid world too. When you're in the office, I think you have much more control over the ebbs and flows of the culture and the mood, what it might be. But working remotely, you need to be responsive and make sure people feel like they're being listened to and that you're actioning what they're asking. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And are you now fully remote, or are you? How have you adopted post-COVID?
We are one day. We ask people to come to the office one day a week if they're not
Okay.
a remote worker, and
Yeah.
that's how it works at the moment. But I'd argue people come in a little bit more often.
Okay.
So I think particularly where you're growing and you've got trainees or junior people, I'm a big believer that actually osmosis is so important,
Yes.
and there's way more value in having someone junior listen to someone more senior, hear how they deal with.
Here. Here. Here.
Yeah,
Here. Here.
absolutely.
Here.
Like, yeah, complete. So how if it's a challenging client or a brilliant client or whatever it might be, like you just soak it up. And I think like I really I don't underestimate the value of that. So people come in, I think, a little bit more regular.
Okay. I think my reflections are that people who are already well ingrained in their behavior and good practice have dealt with being at home maybe slightly better than people who were still learning. And the
Mm,
cross fertilization between just listening in on a call, or in our world in either development or how to configure, or have you seen this problem before, could be sorted so quickly. And now it's maybe takes a little bit longer. But I think your Teams channel is something that I don't think we could ever live without Teams now.
Absolutely not. And how do you find it your teams? Because I think the all the people we've interacted with at Carlo have been good at relationship building. Like even if they could be a salesperson, they could be
Mhm.
project manager or developer, whatever it might be. So one of the things that seems to be a universal value for your team is good relationship building. And how have you adjusted doing larger scale complex projects where actually being around the table and looking at the same screen and having a conversation is so much easier? How have you found that post COVID?
Try and go and visit customers in complex situations. So if that's jumping on a train to go to Paris, or that's making sure we're in Bristol on the right day,
Mm,
because the equivalent whiteboarding session or yellow sticky session or actually seeing what it means always works well in person. But
mm,
we've adopted in when it can't be done, we've done a little and often and tried to reiterate and write it down. But writing down technical things for non-technical people is still something that we're grappling with, and we're sort of getting into maybe a more showing people as we go
mm.
methodology. But that's a tricky one. I think it's a great question and a tricky thing to do.
Are you using AI in any of what you do? It seems every so often the ads pop up about it could be AI around it could be training, it could be manuals, it could be explaining, as you say, complex
Mhm.
technical things to non-technical people. Are you using AI in any of the work that you do?
Well, we've a few different interests in AI, but before I answer that question, you were probably one of the first people to write about it in your blog on things that ChatGPT or AI can do in recruitment. How tell me about how you came up with that and where you've taken it since.
I think initially I think it came from a lot of interest in the company. I think the Chat GPT seemed to be making a lot of waves. And I think one of the things we try to, where we can, encourage at Prospectus, there's a bit of inquisitiveness, maybe a bit of autonomy. And so there was that interest from the company. I think unless you're maybe a little bit more senior, you can maybe be a little bit nervous about
Okay.
how far you can take something. We really wanted to, where we could, give people the option and empower them a bit. So if you think this could make your life easier, explore with it. I think play around with it a bit. And it links similar in a similar way to the automation. Is I think AI and automation should be there to break the back of the 80-90% of the work
Yes.
that there is no value add in a great relationship builder doing it. So it could be as simple as writing advert copy. Actually, ChatGPT can probably do 90% of that for you. You need to go back, sense check it, make any adjustments you might need. But actually, it's really powerful for just jump starting whatever it is you might need to do. Same with automation. I really firmly don't believe that the world's going to exist on automated BD emails. I think it's madness. People buy from people.
Yes.
But actually, what can AI and automation do to get you to have those conversations that much faster with more people? Because that's where I think great recruiters and great salespeople, great relationship builders, whatever it might be, account managers, I think that's what they're really there for is to talk and build a relationship with the individual.
Yeah, I agree. You asked what we're doing with it.
Mm.
We're looking at areas where it can help, and they we very much see AI as something that will assist in what we do or assist in what you will do. And we've got instances where we're trying to improve our out of hours support by using AI to better look at previous support tickets or previous questions
Mm.
and being able to feed back through. We don't do 24/7. Apologies to anybody listening in Australia. And therefore, if someone has a question, we're trying to ensure that the question can be answered. Because chatbots you've got
Mm.
to program, whereas there's an AI tool called Ask PDF.ai, and you can feed it your user manuals, and then it creates a chatbot off the content. So if somebody goes, "Hey, how do you create a template in Awesome
Yeah.
Docs?" It'll say to create a thing, and it'll take you through it as if you were in a
Clever. I've not come across that one. I saw one. I can't recall the name of it, where it was basically you show how to do something on your screen. It
yep,
could be adding an appointment into Bullhorn or
yep,
whatever it might be, and then it automatically generates a how-to guide to do that.
yep, that's right.
But putting in the user manuals as well, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Now there's we've also got an instance where we're trying to use the concept of explain like I'm five. And maybe explain like I'm five doesn't always work because then it gets into fairies and unicorns and things. So we've maybe gone to explain like you're 10, um, and to break down a problem and be able to break down a problem into smaller parts for people to understand, and therefore taking user journeys of, hey, it should do this A, B, and C, and trying to make it into a, okay, that'll mean this bit of technical code, but actually what that'll do is it'll change a status, it'll update a field, it'll look for a date, and it'll do something else, and try to enable us to maybe make some of our more technical functional specifications more easily read for the non-technical person.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So I think yeah, just I think we're at that cusp now of every so often I'll find before I Google something, I'll go to Chat GPT or Bard, whatever it might be. Before I'm trying to find the answer on the internet, I'm having AI tell me the answer, which is a little bit scary, obviously, but still incredibly interesting. So I think that's It's the application of your values to what gets put out. So
Yeah.
we as a recruiter, we believe that we should always show the salary for every
Yeah.
job, and we do that because statistically women would
Are
be
less likely to put themselves forward
yeah,
unless they
exactly.
feel a good
So
fit. Yeah.
yeah, so and chat GPT, it doesn't take you that way the whole time. So I think
Okay.
that's the thing too, is you're taking what gets put out and applying some of your values into it too. But it is incredibly powerful. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, today they announced OpenAI Enterprise. So for all of those, this was recorded on a day when they announced that. And what we had is it's now SOC 2 compliant. So we're going through our SOC 2 compliance. And one of the things by using ChatGPT through the APIs, it
Ah,
means the information you give it
mm,
isn't used in the training of future models.
interesting.
And that was a very important part to us because we were going down very much a job focused AI route, but now feel more comfortable being able to give it other information on the basis that it's no longer being used for future models.
Yeah, and I think that comes into I think trust has been a bit of a theme too. I think whenever we're engaging with it, you never put in anything confidential into Chat GPT
Yes,
because you
exactly.
do never know where it'll end up. Yeah.
So if you open the ChatGPT window and whatever you type into that window on the black screen with a bit at the bottom, that's being used to train the next model. Whereas if you approach it through the APIs, it's not. We're also approaching things. The ChatGPT currently is the best, but it may be Claude, it may be Google when they rebadge Bard into Gemini, it may be other large language models that we haven't yet seen or heard of that work better in different areas. I'm seeing a lot about Claude being better at writing code than ChatGPT is. And from everyone at Kyla, we enjoyed working with you, with your teams, and we look forward to seeing great things from you as you continue along your way and the success of not only you as a business, but also the people that you place into the charity sector, because it's an amazingly important thing at this time and going
Mm.
forward. So we
Yeah.
really like to thank you for working with us.
No, thank you. Likewise, I say everyone has been fantastic. That's what prompted me to write the email, and there was a bit of a wry smile putting feedback on it because sometimes I get those emails, you never know what they are. So I hope it was all positive, it was a nice surprise. But yeah, the whole team have been fantastic. It's been really good fun.
Yeah, well, we hope we continue to do that for many years to come.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure we
with
will.
that, thank you very, very much for being part of Rec Talks for Kyla.